The day will come when the man at the telephone will be able to see the distinct person to whom he is speaking. Alexander Graham Bell. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Podnuts Pro. I am your host, Marvin Bee, coming at you as per usual from the great state of Florida, the city of Fort Lauderdale, home of Spring Break 1985. We have a fantastic show for you this evening, folks. I have three guests on with me this evening to help me navigate the world of VoIP, the world that I have grown to love and hate, but I will continue to press on because you know what? Got to make that money, and I'm tired of giving it away to other people in the industry. So we have some people from Pulsar 360, a name that some of you are quite familiar with, Paul Mendiola, the channel manager, my account guy, the man who got me in and started this whole mess. We also have Robert Harrison, who is the chief channel officer. And we have Juan Pena, the one and only sales engineer. And we're all going to chat about VoIP and the good, the bad, the ugly, and all that good stuff. And then, of course, I will let them pimp their own product. So you are watching and or listening to Podnuts Pro, the podcast for IT business support, where we share stories, products, and tips, all in the effort to help you run your business better, smarter, and faster. And I thank you all for tuning in. It has been a great year so far. Last week, we actually had a great show as well. For those of you that paid attention and listened to the ransomware show with Brandon from TrueGrid, we had a nice little chat there. I want you all to put on your calendars for the next 2 months. Next week starts the Summer Tech Series. It is going to be all techs, all tech talk. We're going to talk business, products, stories, all sorts of things from the tech perspective, business owners, managed service providers. Next week, we start here in Florida. I'm going to travel up to the city of Boca, and I am going to do an on-location podcast with Ben Filippelli from Level 5 Management, MSP down here, very close to me. We are going to be in his facilities and do the show live from there. So that is going to be the start of our Summer Tech Series. I will pronounce and give out the rest of the names starting next week to let you know who to look forward to. Of course, I know you all want to hear from the man, the myth, Mr. Matt Rainey. I'm working on it. We'll see what happens, but that is going to be fantastic. I also want to say thank you to some people. I first want to say thank you to the person that signed up for Patreon last week. I mentioned that one of the things that I'm asking you guys to do is to support the show, and you now have more ways to do that. If you head over to podnutspro.com, not only can you see the back catalog of episodes, you can click on the store, you can click on donate, PayPal, Patreon, buy me a coffee. And of course, you can shop the Amazon store by clicking on the link on my page. And when you go to Amazon, you buy the stuff like you normally would. Your price stays the same. A little bit of commission comes back to the show. I don't ask you guys for much, but I'm asking you for a little bit of support to help me keep these great shows going. And part of the reason I'm doing it is because I'm trying to take over the tattoo space next door. I want to put a podcast studio in there. Of course, I want to do some other stuff because I know I'm not going to make a ton of money doing podcasting, but I want to take over that space, and any little bit of money that you guys can slide my way and help me kick out those tattoo freaks, that would be great. And I don't have to listen to their weird music throughout the day. So that's it. Head over to podnutspro.com anytime to look at past shows and to donate to the show. And let's see, I got a couple of emails here. The one I want to acknowledge is a message. Oh, I want to say congratulations to Chris, who recently purchased 2 vans to join the Man in the Van Club. And Chris, I want pictures. I want lots of stuff, because you got to prove that you got a van, and you just can't call yourself a man in the van and, no picture, no proof. And thank you for people already in the chat. And Mr. Tom Bull, John Reed, can you put a link to how to easily give you a $5 through Patreon? So Tom, if you're listening, just head over to podnutspro.com and click on the donate button there. You'll have all the options there. That way I'm not diverting my attention right now and making this video very awkward and making a bit space for the audio, because I don't edit the show after the fact. But podnutspro.com, everything you need to know is there. So before we get too far along, let me go ahead and bring in our guest for this evening, and then we'll continue with our weather check and news. And of course, I'll bring them in. Let's see, how did I announce them in order? So I'll do this. So the first person I mentioned, Paul Mendiola, our good friend of the channel. Paul, how are you?
Uncle Marvin, I'm doing great. Excellent
right.
to see you again.
Yes, it
great
is.
To speak to your community.
All right. Looking forward to it. All right. And then Robert, call me Bob Harrison. Bob, how are you?
Doing great. How's everybody on the call?
We're doing good.
Excellent.
And last but not least, because he is the one and only, Juan Pena. How are you, Juan?
I'm great, Marvin. How about yourself?
I'm kind of mad at myself because I said I wouldn't do that, but I did.
There we go.
Couldn't resist.
Yeah. So, guys, let's start with just tell me how things are going. How's the weather? All that good stuff. Things we need to know.
Well, in San Diego, it's horrible. It's 73 and it's raining sunshine, and I just can't stand it.
Sunshine.
In LA, it's beautiful. It is kind of hot. It's in the high 80s, but
okay.
We're standing it.
And I'm here in beautiful Colorado at about 7,200 feet, just south of Denver, Colorado, in a little town called Lone Tree, and it's a beautiful 74 degrees. And about 10% humidity. So it's fantastic.
All right. So we're all kind of similar. It's 81 here with a real feel of 80. And part of the reason that I'm looking down is because obviously somebody is watching the show, because I just got sent a picture of 2 vans. So nice. We now have proof that Chris is a member of the Man in the Van Club.
You know what he did? He just went out to the parking lot and took a couple of pictures.
He probably Googled it. Is probably what he did.
Yeah, it makes it easier.
Yeah. All right, guys, before we get too far along, I want to get to our news segment. And before I get started, Paul, I want you to pick a number, either 1 or 2, because that is going to dictate one of the stories that I say. So would you like to be number 1 or number 2?
Let's go with number 1.
Okay. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for In the News. Employers are watching remote workers, and they're monitoring these activities. Now, most of us have had to deal with remote work since the start of COVID. In fact, 75% of work conversations could be recorded and accessed by 2025, according to Gartner. On Thursday, ExpressVPN published the results of a recent survey highlighting workforce sentiments regarding telecommuting, employer monitoring, and more. And while many employers are tapping these technologies to monitor workflows, the report highlights potential drawbacks and even resentment among surveyed employees. So in the last year, many companies have adopted remote work policies, nearly 3/4, 74%, said telecommuting makes them feel a lack of control over their business. And a similar number, 69%, said the work model makes them feel uneasy since they can't observe employees in person. Now, 6 in 10 employers say that they don't trust their employees to work without in-person supervision. So that is interesting. I'm going to skip a lot of this, but I'm going to report in the other side. In the future, 59% of employees say that they are likely to quit if their boss or company uses surveillance measures, and 1/4 would take a cut in pay to avoid these tools. So I will have the link to the full article there. And if somebody is interested in helping somebody monitor their employees, I just deployed a product called Sit-Skip Monitoring, and it is a great little program. Do what my customers ask. So, the number one story that you picked, Paul, Florida man stabbed a woman who wouldn't have sex with him for $5,000.
Wow.
A Florida man stabbed a woman who repeatedly turned down his advances and propositions to pay her $5,000 to have sex with him, according to the Flagler County Sheriff's Office. Deputies said the victim and her boyfriend were at a Palm Coast bar named Smiles around 1:30 a.m. Monday when 55-year-old Renee Lasso showed up. The victim told deputies Lasso had been harassing her for months, so the couple decided to confront him about harassing the woman at work and offering her money in exchange for sex. All three went outside the bar to settle the dispute. Lasso admitted to propositioning the woman and referred to her as a $100 hooker. And that's when the altercation began.
Good Lord.
He said, "I have a knife and will cut you." Deputies said the woman suffered a stab wound to her right arm, while her boyfriend suffered injuries on his arm, stomach, and back. Customers intervened at the bar by kicking over Lasso's motorcycle so he couldn't leave. He faces 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. That is the Florida man story you chose, Paul.
Wow. Way to go, Paul.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
That's
Horrible.
All right. And of course, later in the show, you will get your opportunity to challenge Florida Man. And if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you'll answer a random question.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go ahead. So now let's transition into our VoIP conversation. I kind of started this with promoting it as my VoIP journey continues, because most of the listeners know that I was, sorry, the news was still continuing. Most of the listeners know that I was slow to the voice over IP game. I really didn't want to mess with them, but finally decided it was time about 3 years ago, and decided to partner up with a company that I thought was going to be great, and that company is no more. Well, let me rephrase that. They're still there. They're just not taking on new business. And not that that's really a huge deal. I know it happens, but there were a couple of features that I got frustrated with that they would not implement for my customers. And I was probably going to end up transitioning a couple of those customers anyway. Some of the customers are very happy and probably won't move unless they have to. I made a transition to another company and not feeling warm and fuzzy. So that's where I am in the VoIP discussion here. So I'm in 3 years, and now it's time to look at yet another company because, Paul, I like you. I'm going to say I like to trust you. And here we are.
Yeah, I remember when we first met in Chicago.
Yeah.
I believe it was at a TechCon conference, and you and the whole gang were there. We were having a great time talking about VoIP, and you just said, "I'm not going to do it." You didn't. You came kicking and screaming, and you said, "I didn't want to touch it. Don't ever want to touch it." But hey, you did install a couple phone systems. So
Yep, I still have the one sitting over there.
and it wasn't too painful of a process, right?
No, it wasn't. It was just really the whole idea of something else that I would have to manage. And I did get to the point where I said, look, these things are on my network anyway. So why not manage it?
That's
Right.
right.
And why not get paid for it if I can do that? So that's really what kind of swung me around. Now, of course, part of the problem is I've seen some companies, and none that the three of you have worked at that I think of, but there are some companies out there that are pretty pitiful. And that's my opinion, because I know that there are others that if I say the names of them, they're going to say, oh, that works for me. And I think it's just something where everybody has their own experience. Of course, performance a lot of times depends on the network. So if you've got a good network, for the hosted systems, if you have good internet, those are going to make things a little bit better. So if you've got, crappy cable, you'll have crappy internet.
That's right.
Yep.
Mhm.
And Juan's seen crappy internet over the years, and he can attest to some of the problems he's had to troubleshoot. So
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
we created a program, and we actually coined the phrase probably, good Lord, 14 years ago, maybe. It's called the three legs of the stool. And a stool cannot stand, obviously, without three legs. And the three legs with VoIP, and even to this day, even with the quality of the internet, vastly improving, the speeds are improving. We still do not sidestep the three legs of the stool. And the three legs of the stool are very straightforward. One is what's the internal cabling? Is it Cat5 or better? Is it home run from the desktop back to the switch and router? Number two is the quality of the internet. We actually require a speed test back to our network from the customer's actual location to validate the quality of the internet. If they don't meet our specs, it's got to be cleaned up. And if it can't be cleaned up, we don't want the deal. And the third leg of the stool is making sure there's a good QoS, quality of service router and firewall on the network. And if you tackle those three items, 99.9% of the time, you're going to have a very, very happy customer. If you try to sidestep them, you're opening yourself up for major issues.
So I'm going to go out of order here. So you mentioned the speed test, because I think that's something where a lot of companies always say that they're going to make you qualify with a speed test. But most of the time, it's just a speed test off the internet, and they're just testing simple uploaded download speed. Now, one thing I noticed with your test, that's a whole different test. It's not just a speed test. It's a full quality test to your servers.
Yes.
Yeah, it's emulating a voice call back to our network. And we have six we have 6 data centers in North America, so it's actually simulating a live call.
Yeah, absolutely. It's emulating 5 simultaneous calls. So we actually put some stress on the network, and we run it for about a minute each test. So we're actually getting really good data. Most speed tests out there on the internet are 8 seconds. You can't really get anything out of 8 seconds.
Well, you can win a prize in the bull riding contest.
Well, that's true. Very true. A broken leg flying off that bull, but yes. No, when it comes to networks and really stressing them, that's the reason why we went with, a whole minute, give us a little more information, the 5 simultaneous calls. So that way we just really, if something's intermittent, we can find that within it. And we don't only do the speed, we don't only do that, we do the quality of the test. So we actually check the sweet spots of the network.
Nice. All right. So now let me go back, and something I wanted to try to start off with is the decisions that people make when choosing a voice over IP provider, because I think I did a good job. I took my time. I looked at several different companies, and I tried to look at, what factors, and it wasn't just how much money can I make or do the phones look nice. But in terms of features and quality of calls and stuff, what are some things that you think are mistakes that companies, managed service providers make when they're looking at their VoIP providers?
You know, one of the angles that we take in our approach to recruiting new partners such as yourself is we don't just go out and talk to anybody that can fog a mirror and let them go sell our product. The analogy I use is we're looking for Bentley dealerships. We're not out selling Ford, GM, Hyundai. I don't want 20 guys in Fort Lauderdale selling our product. So we're very selective about the partners that pick us up front. We're also very selective about what are their goals. You know, how much money do they want to make? How much support do they want to provide to that end user customer? And those all come into a factor of what kind of partner program we put them under. And we've been very successful at doing that. We only started our channel program about 8 years ago. When I came on board as one of the owners of Pulsar 360, we had basically 0 partners. Now we have about 450 in North America, including Canada. So with new guys coming on board like Paul, who's knocking it out of the park, again, we go back to being very selective on what that partner is looking for. What are their skill sets? You know, have they sold VoIP before? Do they want to get into VoIP? And we have programs that allow them to get into VoIP without having to do anything other than us send them a check. So we've really created a program that kind of fits, I think, all the requirements of the different kind of companies wanting to get into the space. And another phrase that I coined probably 15 years ago was "Ye who owns the land wins." So now we're starting to see document handling companies, copier guys, obviously IT guys, old telephony guys, anything that touches that land, that customer wants one neck to grab. They don't want to have to deal with multiple vendors. So we're big proponents of that as well.
All right. Well, Paul, you made the transition between a couple of companies. What have you seen as some of the factors that people like me need to consider?
I think he froze up a little bit.
All right. Yeah, all that rain and sunshine. So, oh, there he is. He's back.
Did I freeze?
Yeah,
You did.
Did you hear the question?
Can you repeat that, please?
No. We're just going to move on.
Thanks for stopping by.
And it's my account rep for you. No, I was just asking that you had made the transition between a couple of companies, and what were some of the things that you've seen from people like me in the choices, you know, whether good or bad, that we've made in choosing the VoIP providers?
Well, I think number one, you have the relationship with your customers, right? You know them the best, right? You understand their network, you understand their infrastructure, you understand their mentality, right? If they have some older users that can't get used to like video conferencing or using an app. So you know your clientele the best, and you know what's going to make, you know, best sense for their environment. So I would say you need to really look at who you're servicing and try and find a provider that's going to be a good choice for them. And a lot of the smaller MSPs, they don't necessarily need all the bells and whistles, right? They don't need feature overkill. They want to work with a company that is going to provide them excellent service, right? Great customer support, you know, on-time billing, good commission payments, and just somebody who's going to be able to answer the phone when they call, right? Sometimes when you're calling Comcast, Spectrum, AT&T, Verizon, you know, good luck trying to get somebody on the phone. It's going to take forever, right? And so as a 100% channel focused customer, we are there to support and help you, our partner. And, you know, if what we provide is a quality phone system. And if you're working with a small business, we have all the necessary features that they need in order to run their business. We don't do feature overkill. We're just giving them exactly what they want. So I think if you want to work with a partner that can be, you know, customer focused and responsive, you know, you got to look at a 100% channel company like Pulsar.
Yeah, let me add to that just real quick, because the support side is critical. One of the things that we hear all the time from our partners and their customers is the fact that when they call us, they're getting somebody in North America they can actually understand. Number two, it's typically a live answer. And number three, we typically assign a team, that same team, to that customer from the day that deal is sold to the day that deal is installed. So you're not, you know, dialing into an 800 number, hitting a call center that you're going to talk to, 30 different people about the same account and have to explain what happened on the last call. So that continuity and what we call the ease of doing business with Pulsar is job one. One of the goals that we set when we started the channel 8 years ago was I wanted us to be and give our partners the ability to do business with us as easy it is to buy something off of Amazon. We're not there yet, but we're pretty damn close. So we want live interaction. We want accountability. This team here on this call, along with the rest of the channel team, are literally required to answer their phone 7/24. It doesn't happen often, but when it does happen and Marvin needs somebody to help him on Super Bowl weekend for one of his customers, you're going to get a hold of Paul, and he's going to be able to get a hold of a live body within Pulsar's customer care team, which is very, very unique.
Well, it would have to be if I'm calling on Super Bowl weekend. there's a serious problem.
Instead of watching, right?
So let me now go back and I guess put a disclaimer out here. So I can't say 100% yet that I am, all lovey-dovey and all in with Pulsar. I just started. So I am still in the honeymoon phase. In fact, I had my onboarding call earlier today. So I don't have my phone yet. I haven't, gone through the service and, with a fine tooth and comb. So I just at least want to put that disclaimer out there. But I do want to say that from the get-go, I have had conversations with, I think, 4 different people at your organization, which doesn't really happen at other places or did not happen before, where every time I would send in an email, within a few minutes, I'm like, hey, you want to hop on a Zoom call and we'll discuss this? And, I talked to the sales engineer, my first call.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's unique. And that's something we really strive to make sure that's a big differentiator, because at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know who's all on the call, but this product is becoming more and more commoditized. I mean, you can buy it at Costco, for goodness sake, not our product, but a competitor's product. And you're going to start to continue to see the price points drop. With COVID, now the business model is changing with a lot of mobility apps. Physical telephones being bought are dropping drastically. So if you're in the telephone manufacturing business, you better open your eyes to mobility and do it quickly. And we've done that. So we've got a great mobile app that works on Android and iPhone that even has busy lamp field capability, which is really unique.
Huge.
Yeah.
That's what my one customer wanted from that other provider that they said they'd never do. And I'm like, man, you just screwed the pooch there, because you told me it was going to be there and you lied to me. So, Paul, you've got a friend in the chat there.
Oh, hello. Big Jason.
Jason Miller in the house. Hello, Jason. And a couple of other people have popped in. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat. We are streaming live on YouTube and the Facebook. So this is an interactive podcast. If you have questions, comments, throw them in there and we'll get to them.
I was going to ask you about your PJs.
Me?
Yeah, your PJs. Paco, Jason, Jeff, and John.
Well, I can tell you this. John has become a Florida man.
Really?
Yes, he moved from Michigan to Fort Myers, Florida a couple months ago. So
he couldn't take the governor, so he had to get out?
I don't know why he left. All I know is that people are flocking to Florida, and not just because of the COVID vaccine and the no mask mandate that's happening. So it is an interesting time. Yeah,
my sister-in-law just had her honeymoon in Miami. Oh. And the reason why they went there was because they could go to a restaurant and have a beer and enjoy outside without masks. So
interesting. So are you saying that you were down here in Miami and didn't let me know?
Not me. It was my sister-in-law and her husband.
You weren't invited to the wedding?
It was just their honeymoon.
Oh, the honeymoon.
Yeah,
I wasn't invited to the
honeymoon.
Hey, some families roll that way. One of those all in destinations, wedding / honeymoon / week long.
Everybody just enjoys it.
That sounds like a Kardashian episode.
Yes, very much so.
Oh, my goodness. All right. So let me go ahead and now give you guys the floor to pimp your product now. And if anything else comes up in the chat or a question I have that pops into my head, I'll throw it out there. So let me start by asking, Bob, you said that your channel program there started 8 years ago?
Correct.
All right. How long has Pulsar been around?
Almost 20 years.
Okay.
Prior to that, we were a wholesale company. So what we did is we went out and white labeled, to other companies, and they put their brand, and we just sold them as a wholesale provider, and they went out and sold the services. The two original founders of Pulsar was trying to get me to come on board. I was at Freedom Voice as well for 6 years, almost 7 years. I was their top sales guy there for many, many years. And two of the founders of Pulsar had been trying to get me to come over to Pulsar probably 14 years ago, and they weren't ready. I mean, they were a wholesale company. They didn't have anything that was channel centric, didn't have any programs put together, didn't have contracts, didn't have anything that would let me hit the ground running. So they worked on it. Took them about 3 to 4 years to get everything put together that met my specs. And once they did, then I jumped in as an equity partner in the company, and this thing took off like gangbusters. We've grown over 500% in 8 years, and we've added 3 employees. And the reason for that is the power of our channel program, because we empower the partner to own that customer. And that means giving them the ability to provision the services literally to the back end of the PBX. But we've also seen a transition over the last couple of years with the copier guys getting into this space where they don't know what the hell a DID is. They don't know what a hunt group is. They don't know what an IVR is. But they're also tired of seeing their customers walk out the door with another VoIP provider that ultimately might be with a company that could be selling them copiers or IT support. So a lot of these document handling companies are jumping in on a program. We call it the Sales Referral Partner Program that allows them to own the customer, but they give us the lead. And then we do the due diligence on the upfront. We provide the demo, we sell the deal, we get the document signed, we provision the service, and we just send the partner a 15% recurring commission check just for throwing that lead over the fence. The neat thing about that program is designed so that if they want to transition over the next 6 months or a year, or maybe never, but if they do want to transition to become a full-blown partner to take on tier 0, tier 1 support calls, then that commission then jumps to 25% on all those customers they threw over the fence. So it's a very lucrative program for them to be able to kind of dip their toe into this VoIP pool. And then once they're comfortable and get somebody on staff, both from a technical perspective as well as from a sales perspective, to go out and sell VoIP, then they're ready to go.
All right. So I'm going to delicately say this because I know that you guys just hooked up a big copy vendor company, and we have a running joke on this podcast that vendors are some of the IT professionals' biggest enemies because they come in and throw copiers on our networks and don't know networking and IP schemes, and then they try to steal our business. So hopefully we can all start to get along and work together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So when you went to Pulsar, did you go knowing that you would be starting and running a channel-based program?
Absolutely. That's what we've been doing for 40 years.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sweet.
that's our sweet spot. It's, and being a channel guy, we're not ones, and this, again, this is kind of the beauty to our program. We're not the nagging guys that are going to call Marvin every Friday, the last day of the month, and say, what the hell are you going to sell for me? The phrase, another phrase I coined was, if you don't ask, you don't get. So we're not, Paul's not going to be calling you, hounding you, figuring out what you're going to sell. He's a resource for you. So all my channel support guys is nothing more than a resource. So if a partner has an issue, they need help with a quote, they need sales engineering, design support, then we're there to help them, from cradle to grave.
All right. So from my perspective, when I first contacted Paul and we talked about this, that was my intro. And then we had the call and Juan. So you were part of that call. And one of the things that I tried to hammer you guys with was, what types of things can I, as the IT provider, do with the phone system? What features are available? Can I go in and configure what I want to configure? Can I do my own VLANs? which is a problem I have with another provider right now. So tell us a little bit about those types of things that you deal with as a sales manager in presenting us with the features and functions and things like that.
Yeah. So every customer is a little bit different, as you know, and as far as VLANs, we take a look at the LAN, and that's part of the discovery call. So when we're going in there, I take a look and see what kind of routers they have, what kind of, where their skill set is also, because that matters a lot. The partner may not have the skill set for VLANing or for, divvying up the network as they should. But some do. And so if they do, we go in there and we can actually, that's an available feature for us. The other thing is we just simply talk to the customer and say, hey, what do you envision your phone system doing for you? Really, that question is very powerful. They give you everything you want to know out of that question, because now things are, well, I wish it would do this during the day and this at night and et cetera. I mean, there's a myriad of things that really they throw at you from that. And from that, we come up and really the feature set of the PBX that we're, selling is so powerful that the imagination's the limit, really, when it comes to it. So out of the top of my head, I can think of somebody that, like recently, Paul has a partner that wants to get, notifications and calls during the day for messages left in his emergency box, but not at night, not during the day. He wants it to just simply email him, but at night he wants it to call him, and just wants all kinds of stuff. We came up with a solution right on the spot. We were able to implement it, demo it, and they're pretty happy with what they saw. So, out of all this, really, when we look at the customer, we see what they need, and from there we come up with a solution. I'm also, I'm one of the biggest resources to the partner community, because if they need help with paging or door phones or whatever they may need help with, I'm available for them to hop on a call with the customer, figure out what they need, come up with a solution plan, and that way implement it.
Okay.
Yeah, we're also, Marvin, we're not bashful about saying, hey, we can't do that.
Yeah.
It's not often, but we're not the yes guys that'll go in there and just say, yeah, and then leave it up to some poor guy in the background to figure out what the hell we sold them. So
Right.
We're very, because we don't want those calls either, and we don't want our partners to be exposed to that kind of nonsense either. So it's something we take a lot of pride in, getting that due diligence done up front and doing it correctly.
Okay. All right. So in terms of the actual partner program itself, I want to make sure we hit that before we run out of time, because we might get off course here in a minute. So you mentioned the fact that there's a flavor that you can get 15% commission if you just
Right.
simply do a referral.
Right.
So, hey, I've got a customer, they need phone service, you take it and send me a check.
Correct. Yeah, the other program, which is one we sell, or I shouldn't say sell, we bring on. And by the way, it doesn't cost anything to become a partner with Pulsar. We don't have quotas. We're not going to be hounding you like I spoke about earlier about what you're selling. It's our job to pick the right partner and get them to be successful. The other partner program is called our channel partner program. It's called the U-Pick program. And U-Pick really means it's something we kind of revolutionized 6 years ago. 6 years ago, everybody was doing multi-year contracts. I said, hey, let's do this. Let's go out and offer month to month, and let's have to earn that customer's business every month. Well, guess what? Within 6 months to a year, all of our competitors were offering month-to-month contracts. Same thing with free phones. We launched free phone campaign almost 3 years ago. But with the U-Pick program, let me get back to that. U-Pick means you pick the street price to the customer. So we sell it to you at X, and you make dollar for dollar over and above what you sell it to the customer at. So if it's an $18 seat and you sell it to the customer for $28, you're making $10 a month recurring. So the days of me saying you're only going to make 20 points or 30 points or 40 points or 10 points, you get to pick what that commission dollar is based on the street price to the customer. You get to pick the term of the contract. So if you want to go month to month, fine. If you want to go 60 month, we can do that as well. You also get to pick the markup on all the hardware. Again, hardware is not being sold as aggressively as it was even a year ago. But there are still people out there who want physical phones. and physical desk phones, and we do that. But we also have the mobility app that works not only on the smartphones, but also on your desktop. So the UPIC program is fairly unique.
All right. I was hoping to get set up so I could use that app before the show, and sorry we couldn't get that done, because that was a big feature that I think that people were looking forward to in the other vendor that just didn't quite hit the mark.
Right.
Is that
We will get you set up.
Is that a gentle enough, Paul?
Yeah, well, we won't mention the name, but I think it's a parent company with something like G Money, right? That's all they cared about.
Yeah. Gee, where did the money go? That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
It's not going into these phones. So let me ask you guys this before I forget. Now, even though the channel program's been going for a while, you guys are growing, gangbusters, all of that stuff. You've got some growing pains as well. You guys just introduced a new quoting program. And how's that going? Because when I was going through the demonstration, there were a couple of features that weren't quite, well, what's the right word? It's not that they weren't working. It's just you guys didn't know it 100% yet, right? Is it really that new?
Well, the answer is yes and no. I'll give you just a quick painful story. So 6 years ago, I started beating on the rest of the executive team about automation. For us to be able to offer services as easy to buy something from us as it is from Amazon, the only way to do that and scale the company was to have an automated quoting system. We looked to do it in-house. We blew about $500,000 by bringing on a couple of programming clowns that strung us along for 2 years, and ultimately we had nothing to show for it. So then we went out and started looking at something we could buy off the shelf. We found Quoter. We started working with them a couple of years ago. There's a lot of nuances to putting these types of things together. It is not fully baked. I would say we're probably at about a 95% rate on functionality. We just had another call today, internal call, to fine tune some of the steps and to make it more intuitive. So as a result, there are going to be some growing pains on Quoter. But the good news is you didn't have to go through the last 8 years of using this Excel spreadsheet, which was 3.5 days long and was very difficult. I mean, once you got used to it, again, like anything, it worked fine. But Quoter is the tool that we've landed on. It will be fully automated. It's not 100% perfect yet, but with some positive and feedback from the partner community as well as internal, we will get there. And it's a weekly focus on our company.
All right. I just wanted to ask that again to be fully upfront with everybody. I didn't want somebody to call you guys up and then, email me later saying, oh, they weren't 100% ready for us. So I think you guys are doing just fine, but wanted to get that out there.
What's nice about the Quoter tool, though, is that you're able to brand it. So you can upload your logo and have that on the top of the proposal so your customer knows it's coming from you.
Yes, I will say that. I actually did my quote the other day, and my logo was there, and I could move features and fields around, and
and you can attach additional documents that, right? If you just want to have documents pertaining to what you guys do and your services, those can be incorporated into the proposal as well.
Well, actually, what I did was I downloaded the phone guides and attached the phones that I recommended to the back of the proposal.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Another thing we just launched, which is fully functional, is the ability to have your logo and brand and contact info on the invoices. So the invoices that go out, it might say your company powered by Pulsar 360, but the intent is, again, for you to own that customer, and it'll have all your contact info on the invoices. So when we get you set up as a new partner, there's basically a little yes or no box. Do you want to have your invoices branded or not? And if yes, we do that, and we don't charge for that.
All right, so let's talk about that real quick. So you guys are sending out the invoices for us.
Yes.
You're collecting the sales tax.
Yes.
But it can be our logo, our name, or whatever we decide if we're selling. Is that for both programs? Is that for the UPIC and the referral program?
No, the referral program. The referral program is only us. Okay. Because again, the referral partners, they don't want to be taking service calls they know nothing about. So those calls come directly to us, and we do tier 0, tier 1 support for their end user customers. But for the UPIC program, yes, that can be branded.
Okay. So another clarification point. So the referral, basically, we just hand the customer to you and we don't even deal with it.
That's right.
On the UPIC program, is there the ability for the customer to call you instead of us, or is it always going to be they call us first and then we call you for our support?
They call you first. That way you're always in the loop on what's going on with your customer.
Okay. That was it. No follow-up there. That's
Okay.
Yeah, but if you do get into a little bit of a jam and you need assistance, we're here 24/7, 365. So
That's right.
We're always just a phone call away, or you can send an email to start a ticket. And you can always be in the loop during the progress.
all right. Now, if a customer takes it upon themselves to call you without calling us, is that going to be an issue? Or are you going to say, look, we're not your provider, call your provider or call your IT person?
Typically, we will absolutely notify them that, hey, you bought your services through Marvin's company. Do you have his contact info? If not, here it is. He'll be more than happy to help you out.
Okay. Now, that shouldn't happen if our logo and our numbers on the invoice, right?
Correct. That's the whole point of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you can even put an easy button on their phones, where it says help or easy. Just press the button and it calls your support team.
You have help buttons on the phones?
Yeah.
You can, absolutely.
You can put that in there. Yeah.
Nobody told me that.
Yeah. When it goes off.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'll have to see that. When am I getting my phone set up?
Soon. You have that all going, right, Paul?
Yeah, well, Judy got in contact with you, and so she's on top of it. I think you guys you missed a couple times today, right?
Well, she called my office. I was on the phone, and she left a message, and then I called back, and then she was busy, and
See, we're very proactive. We're trying to get a hold of you.
You are, and I think she wasn't supposed to call me until like Friday, so she's early.
There you go.
That works. All right. Anything else that we want to make sure that we mention? Anything that you guys want to talk about in terms of not just the partner program, but maybe Pulsar in general and things that you're looking to do in the channel?
Yeah, we've got some great spiffs running right now through the end of June. So for any deal sold between now and June 30th or 31st, I guess it is, we'll pay you 3x MRC. So if it's a $500 a month deal, we'll actually pay you an additional $1,500 over the next 90 days, spread out over those 90 days on top of your normal commission. So it's a very lucrative program, and it's not limited to. We have no limitation, by the way, to the size of a deal. It could be a one phone deal. It could be 1,500 phones. We had the good fortune of winning a contract for the state of Connecticut through a partner. We help a partner win that. And so we've got massive deals being installed up in that neck of the woods. But and then the other program, there's two other ones. There's a SIP truck program. So not only are we a host provider, premise-based provider, but also SIP trucks. So there's a promo running on that, as well as there's a contest which you guys are a little late to. But if you sell 150 seats over the quarter, then there's upwards of almost $8,000 we'll pay back directly to the partner. And you can use that money for whatever you want. More than likely, that promo will get extended going into July, but no official announcement yet.
Okay.
And then also we're doing Teams direct routing as well. So I know Microsoft Teams is exploding. There's a lot of users on there, but their phone capabilities are horrible. So
okay,
this is a much better approach. You're going to get much better service. It's going to be a little bit less expensive, but the full access to our PBX through the direct routing.
Okay. So I've just put the link in both of the chats for a place for anyone to go. And if you have an interest in becoming a partner and getting in contact with them, the link is in the chat and showing up on the screen. Pulsar360.com/become-a-partner. And I actually need to take that off because, Paul, there's been a request that can you give a shout?
Give me a shout. Okay. Shout out. Shout out to Barry. You got it, Barry. I'll give you a call.
All right. Okay, guys, any last words before we start to end off the show here and get into the...
No, I just want to say thanks for the opportunity to be a part of this. I think it's very well done. We've done a couple here in the last 6 months, and I think you're doing a great job, Marvin. Obviously, you're not a rookie at this, so keep up the good work, and thanks again for the invite.
All right. Juan, any last words?
No, same. Thank you very much for the invite and great show. You've done a great job. Thank you.
All right. Wow. Too kind, too kind. And Paul, now comes the part of the show that you love.
Oh boy. Hit me up.
Florida man or random question. So, do you have a story to rival our Florida man story tonight?
Well, it's not necessarily a story, but I just wanted to acknowledge the piece done by 60 Minutes on UFOs, because it is a sighting in San Diego. So 100 miles off San Diego back in 2014, a couple, I think it was F-18 fighter pilots. They saw something and they dropped down and got, a bullseye look at a flying Tic Tac, basically. So it's out there. You guys can take a look at it. I'm not sure if you're into UFOs or not, but they're coming. Aliens are coming.
If you went to one of my family reunions, you would already say they're here.
Yeah.
Oh my God. We went there.
They are here. Yes, very real. So now there's been a ton of release, from the Pentagon. Apparently there's a ton of stuff that they're saying, look, it's out there. Here it is. We don't know what it is, but the San Diego one, I mean, this is the one with the Navy pilots, right?
Right. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There are 2 Navy pilots, and they, without question, there was 4 people, right? They have the Navy pilot and the navigator on each plane. Plus they have the radar system, and the radar system got them bullseye right on there. So I think it was the USS Nimitz they were on at the time.
Yep. I did not, I can't Google fast enough to pull up the story and link it, but we will get the link to that in the show notes. Of course, you can go to 60 Minutes, CBS, if you are on one of the streaming programs, and get all that information. I'm sorry, I'm getting text messages here, I'm sure, in response to that. Yes, UFOs are real. Okay, that's what we got. So our great interactive show. All right. Well, gentlemen, that is going to do it. I thank you guys very much for coming on. And Pulsar 360, and your tagline is Advanced VoIP and Telecom Solutions.
Yes, it is.
And I'm looking here on the LinkedIn. You've got, you guys actually announced your new quoting tool. And Kerry's Law Compliance. What's Kerry's Law Compliance?
So Kerry's Law is a law that was passed several years ago. There was a young lady, I think it was in Texas, staying at a hotel with her daughter. And unfortunately, she was hiding from her ex-husband, or soon-to-be ex-husband. And basically, the guy broke into the room and started stabbing the mother to death. And the daughter went to the phone, hit 911, and it didn't do anything. It kept hitting 911. It wouldn't do anything. She didn't know she had to dial 9 first and then hit 911. And unfortunately, the mother passed, and the father of the mother took the lead with the legislation in Texas to get this law passed. So it goes into effect, I think, this June or July. They've been working on it for a couple of years now, but all the old PBXs hanging out there in the world, especially in hotels, if you have to dial 9, that's going to be illegal. You have to be able to dial 911 without having to dial another number to get to a 911 operator. So that's what Kerry's Law is.
We should have talked about that during the show. That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So
yeah, it's a big deal, because there's a lot of old Mitels, Nortels, Avayas, ComDials sitting out there that are going to have to be forklift out of there.
Oh, okay. Business should be booming soon.
Oh, the hotel business took a big hit with COVID for sure, but there's a lot of companies out there using old PBXs that need to get those things upgraded. So if you run into one of them, you might just ask them the question, "Hey, what are you doing about this?" Because if you have to dial 9, that's going to be against the law.
All right, we're going to dig into that. Hopefully you guys can stay with us after the outro, and we'll talk about that in the post show. But gentlemen, I want to thank you all for coming out. Paul, very good to see you again. And I'm
Thank you, Marvin.
still kind of bummed that I didn't get to take that trip out to California.
You know what? There's still an opportunity. So we're going to get together one way or another.
All right. We'll make that happen.
Is there going to be another show?
I believe that there is. So I'm not on the planning committee this year, so I can't. I think they did announce that yes, it's on, and I'll get you the information for that and get you in touch with the PJs. All right. So Paul Mendiola, Bob Harrison, and Juan Pena, gentlemen, thank you very much. These are all representative of Pulsar 360. They might be my new flavor of the decade for voice over IP.
Awesome. What do we do? What do we do to join the post show? Do we just hang out where we're at? Or
yeah,
what?
you just stay right there. I'll take care of everything. Okay.
Good deal.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for watching and/or listening to Podnuts Pro. Join us every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. if you want to watch live on either YouTube or the Facebook. If you're listening, just keep on doing what you're doing. You can subscribe on your favorite podcatcher, anything from Apple Podcast to Google Podcast to Spotify, all that good stuff. And then head over to podnutspro.com and support the show and check out any back episodes that you can. Again, we'll be here next Wednesday, the start of the Summer Tech Series with Ben Filippelli of Level 5 Management. And that's going to do it for this episode. Until next week, folks, holla. All right. We are back. That was a good show, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right. So we're now in the post show. So anybody that is still watching can join in the chat and ask questions or comments. Anybody that's listening to audio are gone by this time because the show's over. But so this Kerry's Law thing, let me go back real quick before I forget. So is this only going to be in Texas or is this is this nationwide?
I believe it's nationwide.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, isn't there a component of it where you have to notify somebody, either security or somebody locally via text or some other messaging medium that a call to 911 was just placed?
There is some reporting. I don't know the full details of it, to be honest with you. That's why we provide that link. If somebody wants to really dive into it, we launched 2 blogs, one around, what was the other one? One was around Kerry's Law, and there was another one around 911.
Ray bomb.
Yeah. But no, we have to do some more research to bring Marvin up to speed.
Well, I just Googled here and found your blog from May 19th. So the Kerry's Law and Ray Bomb Act. Mm-hmm. This was enacted actually in 2018.
Yes.
Which states that multi-line telephone systems must have direct 911 dialing capabilities.
Correct.
So you're right. A person previously calling from an outside number from a business had to dial 9 first. This law allows for a direct 911 call, which can drastically increase emergency medical services and law enforcement response times. The Ray-Baum Act states that a call to 911 must include a dispatchable location,
Correct.
regardless of the technology platform. So, I mean, that sounds like what the E911.
Yeah, what they
service has
did
been
though,
doing.
what they did was they enhanced it and complicated it drastically. So let me give you an example. So let's say I have a 20-story building, and on the 20th floor, I've got Harrison Enterprises, and I have my main suite, which is suite 2001. But within that suite, I've got 40 offices. So the old E911 would tell you that, yeah, it's at 7801 North Lamar. It's on the 20th floor, and it's at suite 2001. The Ray-Baum Act says, okay, now you got to go in and say, not only is it on the 20th floor in suite 2001, but it's in the northwest corner of the floor, and it's in office number 123. The problem with that is the fact that someone's got to maintain a database that says, oh, by the way, we did a retro of Bob Harrison's office over the weekend. Now his suite is 3 times bigger than it was. We got rid of those other 2 suites within that office space, and now it's it's still the same number, but now it's taken over half the floor. So it's very, very complex. I think there's a minimum size limitation of the office space that has to be manually updated. But who the heck's going to do that? I mean, is it required that the leasing company do that? Is it the business owner? Is it the guy that owns the commercial building? I mean, who's going to take responsibility for doing that? I think it's a nightmare.
Or is it going to have to be the provider, us as the IT people? Because if we move a phone from one end of the floor to another, do we have to update it at that time?
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
And you'll tell us.
Changes it.
Yeah.
And you don't know about it.
Well, that's the other concern. Yes, because customers move stuff all the time.
Well,
Yes,
and if a lot of them will take it home. My sick kid, and I got to work from home for the next week, so I take my phone home, and the house catches on fire, dial 911, and they show up at my office. Not good.
Or what about hot desking?
Well, you could do that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
But most people aren't going to pay for 2 phones.
Right. Well, no, I was thinking if somebody hot desk, for instance, if I've got an attorney here in Fort Lauderdale that goes over to Tampa and they hot desk over there, their extension technically registers back to Fort Lauderdale, but they're in Tampa.
Right.
Correct.
So that's when it's registered to the MAC address, not registered to the extension.
All right. Sorry I brought that up.
We're the government. We're here to help.
You opened up a can of worms for yourself, Marvin.
Yes.
Hey, I'm just Googling. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah. The one place you can actually get really good information is the www.911.gov. That has the exact information about both Kerry's Law and Ray-Baum.
Okay. All right. Well, that'll be a link in the show notes for those that stayed with the post show. So 911.gov.
Yeah, I can send
How
you the
retarded
actual
is it
link.
that we don't even know there's a 911.gov? Over 50 years of 911. Wow.
There we go. I sent you the direct link for that.
There we go. Kerry's. Okay, there. Yeah. So I'll put that in.
Yeah. That's in case anybody wants to delve more into it.
Yeah. Like we have time.
Absolutely.
All right. So was I gentle enough with the questions? Did I?
No, I think you did a fantastic job.
Yeah, you did great.
Right. I do wish that I had gotten something in line, but I know I only gave you guys a couple of days. So
Now, Marvin, I want you to show the Yeti mug because this is something we need to start implementing here at Pulsar. This is the best gift any partner
the
has
one
ever
I'm
received.
drinking, I made sure that the one I'm drinking from wasn't that one, but this one is the G Money one.
There you go.
So
I would like to see a Pulsar brand on that because those are golden.
yes, these are nice. And what's your official color? Is it the blue?
Yes.
Oh, blue Yeti look nice. Look nice against my MB Systems logo. Although, so eventually, I'm also going to try to get rid of all this whiteness back here because it's horrible with my contrasting and all that stuff. So I may do a blue background. So a blue mug would be nice. Pulsar 360.
Hint.
MB Systems. So let me think, Paul. When we talked, what was it, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
So I had responded to an marketing email. So what's your response been in the last couple of weeks? Because I'm assuming that a lot of people got them around the same time. So have you guys been bombarded with people like me calling saying, glad that you're alive and hook me up?
Yeah, I mean, the response has been tremendous. I've been able to sign up a lot of partners, and they're just desperate for an alternative source because they know Freedom Voice, the support's going downhill, and all the people they normally talk to no longer work there.
Yes, Heather left. I was like, what?
She went to go work with Eric with Julie's company, so she's doing HR now. But yeah, I mean, Gilbert's there and some of the other support guys, but you know, it's the operations team is focused on other things. They're not really fixing tickets that need to be fixed, and you know, they're not going to develop any new features. So there are a lot of partners who are nervous and they're ready to move all their customers. They just need to find a home. So I've been talking to as many as I can, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, he's brought on quite a bit. I mean, he's knocking it out of the park.
Well, you get Jason Miller on board, you know.
Yeah, let's get Jason Miller on board, and then
half
then
the
it's
East
all
Coast,
over.
Half the East Coast will be on you. So yeah, I mean, I've got 2 customers, 32 phones and 26 phones that are ready to just, they're like, Freedom Voice hasn't, doesn't answer or can't fix this, and I'm like, I'll move you as soon as I can.
Yeah. The BLF is going to be huge for those folks. I mean, the attorney.
That's my law firms, yeah.
Yeah, they're just going to be overjoyed, right? Being able to see who's on the phone, and we can actually put a sidecar on the reception desk.
Yeah.
With BLF capability.
That's going to be sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet. And the app feature, although I just found out today, so with the 2 tiers of the program, so it's the Pro and the Enterprise. Because I got excited about the texting, but apparently that's only the Enterprise version for now, right?
Momentarily, yes.
It's coming with Pro. We're just waiting for that to be released. I don't know. I can't give you a date, but it's definitely in the works.
It's all right as long as
Bob,
this time it's
available?
really in the works.
Yeah. So our aim was for close to the end of 3rd quarter. So that's our target date. But with development, as you know, target dates are a moving target.
Well, Juan, can you explain to Marvin the relationship with Clearly IP and where they came from and the value they bring?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, first, explain Clearly IP because most people probably don't recognize are they your flagship phone that you use?
They are correct.
Yeah, I would say they are, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So Clearly IP is a company that basically, well, I can't really talk about Clearly IP without talking about their past. So let me go over their past a little, and then we'll talk about what they currently are.
Okay.
So these guys developed free PBX. So the broadest utilized asterisk platform out there. Once they started selling Sangoma servers, and so what happened is they put their PBX on the Sangoma server. All of a sudden, Sangoma said, "Hey, would you guys sell to us?" So that relationship happened. They sold out to Sangoma, And then after their non-compete expired, they went ahead and said, hey, we need to go ahead and start building another PBX, because they already know this and they already had gone through phones setup and all that stuff. So they started creating phones and PBXs, and that's how they came to be Clearly IP. They have, you know, their own hosted platform with the phones.
All right, and they look nice.
They are very nice.
Let me
Yes.
see if I can share the page here with. Got some of the phones up.
And you know, you get with them, you really get the biggest bang for the buck. They have great features. The greatness between going with a Clearly IP phone and another one, we have such a good relationship with the company that any issues that arise, we go ahead and have their ear.
All right, and these so the 3 big models support 4, 8, and 16 SIPs.
Correct.
All 3 have color screens, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
All 3 are Gig E phones.
Gig E,
Yes.
yeah. Go ahead.
So the biggest differences between them is, you know, the 4 buttons on the 250. That's for somebody that's not a power user, that, you know, uses their phone every now and then. That's perfect. You know, it's got a nice size screen. It's got enough buttons for them to actually be useful. And then
As long as they don't want a headset.
yeah, I was getting to that. So beyond that, the 250 and the 270, they actually are able to have headsets put in. And on top of that, the 270, the flagship phone, you have internal Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So you can actually hook up a Bluetooth headset to it and make it work great.
And a sidecar.
And sidecars to both of those, correct. And I believe it's up to 6 sidecars that they can have.
6 sidecars.
Yeah, those days are gone.
Imagine that.
Wow. All right, so that should be good. So for all of us that have, you know, tons of these Polycoms laying around, we shouldn't really use those, should we?
Well, we support them, but you know, at the end of the
Yes.
day, if the customer owns them, then and they're not breaking down every other day, then why not use them?
Yeah, when you're reusing phones, just bear in mind you're going to spend roughly 5 to 10 minutes factory formatting the phone and reprovisioning it, because no 2 config files are ever identical. So there might be that one little feature that was included in something that's still pointing to the old server. It's best to just factory format, keep it clean, and then reprovision. But with nowadays, you know, you have DHCP options that can actually reprogram those phones once you factory format them.
Right.
So you could save some time doing option 66 and pointing it to the new server.
All right. I'm sorry, I just 5-way conference natively on the phone.
Yes.
I did.
We can call each other. I can call all 3 of you, put you on hold to start adding more people, and up to 5 people.
Okay. I just had. So it's funny, last week when I started to do the quote and I called my customer and said, hey, I'm looking at a new company. Tell me what you need. And of course, you know, we need the busy lamp field. So I was first.
Yep.
But then she
absolutely.
emailed back and said, we need to be able to conference call easily. And I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that. So that's always something. And I think I did ask you guys when we were on that call, you know, if, you know, like this particular office is only 2 people. And with some companies, 2 people, 2 lines, which means only one person can conference and the other person is SOL. But you guys said, nope, that's not a problem here. You know, they can do that conference and be on the phone. And right? Did I say that right?
Yeah. So with our service, we provide 20% bursting. So anything under 10 is just an additional line to whatever seats they have available to them. So in a 2-line, you know, 2 extension customer, you'll end up with 3 lines. So they'll be able to, conference somebody in and still receive another call or make another call.
Okay. All right. Done with phone talk. Let's go UFOs.
All right. I like it.
Or hockey or basketball.
So my I wasn't going to say this on the air, but my sister-in-law married the lead singer from Blink-182, Tom DeLonge.
Really?
It's both a second marriage, but if you look up Tom DeLonge and UFOs, he's a UFO expert. Like he was hired by the government to do some UFO investigations, and like I don't know what the hell he does, but it is. I don't ever want to talk to him about UFOs because he knows too much.
Get me in contact with him.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to have to edit this out of the video so that people are going to be bugging you about that.
About UFOs.
Well, and the Blink-182 connection.
Yep. Get me a signed photo and all that stuff. Yep. I just threw that out there, Paul.
Yeah. You want one, Juan?
I do, actually. I was listening to him when I was in high school, so yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've got a signed hat by Shania Twain, so right back at you.
Whoa. I'm envious. You know,
Okay.
Kerry Underwood's going to be in Vegas. She's
I
got a
saw her,
residency.
I saw her, and I took my daughter and son-in-law it was right before COVID, and we got seats down in what they call the pit, which is only 30 people that literally go down on the floor next to the stage. It was unbelievable. One of the best. I've been to many concerts, and this is one of the best ones I've ever seen ever.
Wow. What an experience.
Yeah,
Really?
No.
Better than Brooks and Dunn and Reba?
much better.
Okay.
Well, Bob wanted to turn it into a mosh pit, right? Down in.
Hey guys, I got a hard break here in like a minute.
All right, sir. Well, hop on off. Thank you very much for joining. We'll obviously be in touch in the next few weeks because
we stand ready to support you any way we can. So just let us know.
I'm gonna run your stuff through the ringer. Okay.
Good deal. That's what we want.
Yeah.
All right, Bob. Thanks a lot.
Thanks again. You bet. Adios. Bye-bye.
All right, Juan, Paul, you guys need to go too.
I'm okay. It's up to you guys when you want to kick me out.
Now we got a few minutes.
Yeah.
It looks like we've got a few people that have stayed on the chat, but they're not doing anything. And the one guy, all he does is text or message me. So I don't know why he doesn't go in the chat room.
Yeah, and Marvin, earlier when you were asking, about the mistakes people do when choosing a VoIP provider, part of that is not doing what you're doing. Put us through the ringer. Get those demo accounts. Get those, get access to the back end. View the troubleshooting. Have them show you how to troubleshoot. I mean, there's so many things out there that gotchas, right, with any VoIP company that you want to make sure you put them through that ringer and verify, all the stuff that they're telling you. So good job on doing that. Actually, we welcome it.
So are there really a lot of partners that don't do that? I mean, I guess I can understand it if they're only doing the referrals, but if they're trying to get money out of it, shouldn't there be a vested interest in getting under the hood?
Oh, I absolutely believe there should be a vested interest, but everybody is different. Every company, again, is different, and some companies will look under the hood, others won't. And I feel that the most successful ones do look under the hood, and they look thoroughly through the hood.
So then, you know what? I didn't even think about this earlier. So for the people that want to do the UPIC program, but then don't want to provide the support, how do you gently nudge them back to just the referral status? Or what do you do with those people that say, yeah, I'm going to be a full partner, I'm going to do the UPIC, I'll set my prices, but then they don't want to do the support?
So I'll take the geek card out of my sleeve and say I work on the technical aspect of those things. Unfortunately, that's actually a better question for Bob.
Okay.
And as far as how they would go back.
Well, I think
to
they would
return.
definitely have to have a conversation with the partner and say, hey, this is what you signed up for. These are your, obligations. You're not fulfilling those. And, if you continue to do what you do and, just forward over the calls to us, we're not in a position to handle all of your support calls. So we're going to have to bump you down, or, there's going to be some sort of like maybe a warning period.
Right. Well, I like what Bob said earlier, where if a customer calls, they're just automatically redirected back to the partner.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, absolutely.
I know some companies that wouldn't do that. They would take the call and, either try to, steal the customer, I guess is one way to put it.
No, the way we believe, and we're very transparent with this, it's your customer, period. Because we're providing service, it's still your customer. That's how we work with that.
All right. Okay.
You want to say hi to my doggy?
Hey, it's been a couple of years since I've seen the doggy.
See the doggy? This is Tonka.
Was it there the whole time?
No, he just wanted to sit on my lap, so
Okay.
he was missing me.
He's probably said, "Look, you've been on long enough. Get off."
It's time for his walk.
Oh yeah, it's supper time out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I'll go ahead and let you guys go. And thank you very much for this time again. And of course, like I said, we'll be in touch. I should be talking to Judy tomorrow and getting my phone set up and see how it goes.
All right.
All right,
Thanks,
sounds
Marvin.
good.
All right.
Thanks, Marvin.
Appreciate
All
the
right,
time.
guys. You guys take care.
Have a good. Bye-bye.
Good
Peace
night,
out.
everyone.